we are here to talk with you about your short film, The Birthday Gift. Um, and before we
Yes.
jump in, I have to acknowledge that there is a reveal in this movie, and
Oh, we're
I'm
not
going to
gonna say
do.
what it
We're not going to
is.
say what it is, so we're going to have this conversation totally spoiler free. Okay, so I just want to
Great.
make that clear that that is my intention here.
We
So
love you. We're very
yeah.
fond
I love it. Thank you.
of you.
Oh man. So the birthday gift. This is really cool because it's premiering at the Cleveland International Film Festival. How does that
Mhm.
feel? Tell me about the feelings in that festival coming up now.
We are so excited, actually. We shot this film in Chicago. The Birthday Gift is set in Chicago. It's a 16-minute short film about an Argentine family in Chicago. It's somebody's birthday. It's one of these classic sort of dinner party movies.
Mhm.
And it's filled with, Argentine culture and tango and chocotorta and gnocchi and wine. And it's delightful. Until it's not.
Mhm.
But we shot it in Chicago, fully Chicago crew. Cruz is based in Chicago. Cruz is our star, and it means a lot to be premiering in the Midwest. And the Cleveland International Film Festival is an Oscar qualifying festival, very highly regarded. So it was very affirming for us in so many ways that they
Yeah,
invited us
it
to
felt like
screen.
everything, everything coming together in such a beautiful way, especially this idea of a Midwest premiere, and like being able to just be, close to where the heart of the story is, and the whole team is coming, so like we're all going to be arriving in Cleveland in the next couple of days so we can all be there to celebrate. So we're very, very happy, very excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you guys. That's really awesome. Let's talk about your careers leading up to this. Ariana, tell me about your career in the film industry and leading up to this film.
Well, I'm one of those notorious multi hyphenates. know? I like to remind everybody that Shakespeare was a multi hyphenate. Not that I'm Shakespeare, but yeah, I'm an actor. That's how I make my living, and I've been doing it for a very long time. But I've also, I'm from a generation where there weren't a lot of examples, for women and certainly for women of color, at least where I was growing up in Texas, to become filmmakers. But like I made my first film in high school, like on a VHS camera, like editing in camera. And my very first day training as an actor at the California Institute of the Arts, which is Cal Arts, which I studied at for 4 years before going on to become a professional actor. My very, very, very first day of classes, I went at the end of the day to my mentor at the school and I was like, can I switch to the film school? They said, no. That's they said that's not how it works, kid.
No, okay.
And I was like, okay. And I would the entire time I was studying as an actor, I would sneak into film classes and I was trying to get on film sets. So it was always there wanting to make films. And I've been blessed with a beautiful career as an actor that I love. I love being an actor. I think it informs my filmmaking. And I'm really excited to be in this new part of my career where I'm really bringing things to the screen that I love and care about and am passionate about. And
And your direction, right? Because I think like I told you this several times on set, like, oh my God, I love you give actor notes,
yeah,
like just
I
like
direct like an
being able to
actor.
translate. Yeah, you direct like an actor. And I was like, I love that.
Which
I love
which
this.
I think is so important for me, and I've worked with some filmmakers who feel like they don't really know how to talk to actors, but I know them. I am one, so I know them inside and out, and I know these particular characters inside and out because I've known the playwright for a very long time as an actor, which is why it made sense when she came to me with the script and wanted my notes because she knows a writer and a filmmaker. I was like, okay, here's my notes, and who's directing this and why is it me? Let's do this.
That's incredible. Cruz, how about you? Tell me about your progression through the industry and entertainment.
Yeah. I'm originally from Buenos Aires, from Argentina. I moved here when I was 23, so like a full grown up, or like as close as a full grown up as you're going to be at
Your
23.
frontal lobe was almost done.
Yeah, I was just like almost done. 2 years away. And then I studied acting in Argentina. I went to the Universidad de Salvador for acting over there. So I came here fresh, with a degree under my arm, and I landed in Chicago because my husband, who's a composer, classical musical composer, was doing his PhD at the University of Chicago. We see that he has to be part of it. And funny enough, when I moved here, when I came here, I didn't know anyone. I had no contacts. I hadn't gone through like the university, like experience here. So I joke that I spent the first year in Chicago just Googling how do I become a professional actor in Chicago, right? Because I just didn't know
Yeah.
where to go, how to start, what to do. So
I will say though,
I
getting out of a
started.
professional training program, I had no idea how to do it either.
Great. That makes me feel better. So I started going to auditions that I would find on internet places. I started going to plays and waiting for the actors after the plays and saying, "Oh, I loved your work. How did you get started?" Just being curious. I think curiosity for the work, for being part of the community, is kind of like what got me into it. Because my first show in Chicago came from a playwright that I met after a show, who was telling me about her next play, and she said, "I have a character who speaks only in Spanish." And I said, "Well, I can do that." So she invited me to audition, and that was my first job in Chicago, just from like going out there and putting myself out there and meeting people. And then I've been lucky enough. I've been in Chicago now for, I want to say, almost 17 years. And I've worked a lot in theater. That was my bread and butter for a really long time. I did film, TV quite a bit. I was able to expand, but I always had this feeling that I wanted to do more as a storyteller. That I wanted to be a little bit on the driver's seat of the stories that I wanted to
Yeah.
see on screen, of the roles that I wanted to play. Because I remember coming here and just like it was kind of a culture shock to know that I was going to be put in a box as an actor.
Mhm.
That I was going to be told like which roles I was allowed to play and which roles I was not allowed to play, because I was a Latina immigrant with an accent. It was very surprising to me. I was like, why? I walk around the streets of Chicago and I see like this city of like cultures and languages, and I go to these neighborhoods and I walk around, and like my experience of the world was never the experience that I was seeing on TV and film. It was not the experience that I was seeing reflected. So I said, I think it's gonna have. I think I'm gonna have to do it. I think it's gonna have to be me. So I started finding collaborators that had kind of like that same hunger of just seeing something different, characters, our stories told differently in a nuanced way, in intentional,
Yeah.
joyful. So, and that's kind of how I got here. How I got to this project, which I'm also an executive producer
Mhm.
for, as well as the star, because I was like, let's do this differently. Let's kind of like put ourselves in the driving seat of like how we want to see ourselves reflected
And I
on the
just want to say, Cruz is she's an astounding performer. She's an excellent producer. She's an excellent
Mm.
producer. And she and I have a lot of similarities in terms of like the advocacy we've been doing, like trying to make great stories that defy stereotypes for Latinos. So we really bond over that, even though we're incredibly different. I'm the child of an immigrant, but I'm an American raised in Texas.
Mm.
Like, very different experiences, but also like the same drive. Like there's so many stories that need to be told, and Latinos are so severely underrepresented, I should say, excuse me, um, across the spectrum. Like we haven't even remotely scratched the surface of the creativity, and characters and stories that exist for all kinds of Latino characters of all colors and backgrounds. So I'm just so happy that we found each other and are really working toward it. And we have a feature script already for the short. Like We're not messing around, you know?
Let's
M
go.
my goodness. You 2 need a podcast, right? Like, you guys I could listen to your stories all day.
We're also
Think about
Latinas,
that.
so you might wanna just shut us up at some point.
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, let's talk about the birthday gift. So, from what I understand, this is an adaptation of a theater play called The Abuelas. Is that correct?
That is the source material.
Source
It's a
material.
full-length
Well,
Yes.
play called The
I
Abuelas. It premiered at Teatro Vista in Chicago, and Cruz starred in the world premiere.
Oh,
I
interesting.
originated the role of Gabriela uh, with Nate Santana, who originated the role of Marty, who plays Marty too on the film. So the two of us are kind of like, OGs from the stage to the screen. But when I was first in the play, which is the source material, so not fully an adaptation,
Okay.
but kind of like the
Yeah.
inspiration, for the story. I read the play, and through the process, I remember I would be like, this has to be a film. This just has to be a film. When you're this just it can exist in a different medium, and it can't, like film has such an incredible wide reach, that I was like, so I think during 6 years I would be like, hi, to the Stephanie Allison Walker, who is our incredible playwright, and I would be like, Steph, I think this has to be a play. This has to be a film. This play has to be a film. This play has to be a film. And funny enough, Arianna was doing the same thing in LA. She was collaborated with Stephanie. So for the same amount of time, for the same amount of years, we had been both in different coasts, being like, Stephanie, your stage work has to be adapted to film. So that was the inspiration. And during the pandemic, where we found ourselves, with time that we hadn't had in a long time, we brought Paula Pisi, who is a wonderful, incredible Argentinian writer and actor who plays Soledad in The Birthday
Mhm.
Gift, the mother,
Mhm.
to adapt it into a bilingual script, into a bilingual story, because we felt that language was going to add so much to the nuance and the relationships and the cultural
Yeah.
specificity. So and then when we had the script, that's when it came to Ariana. And as soon as I talked to Ariana, I was like, Ariana is the perfect person to direct this, not only because I'm totally aligned with her artistic vision from, like, as a filmmaker, as a director, visually, just like the visual language that she wanted for the film, but also the fact that she knew Stephanie, that she knew her work, that she had played there as an actor too, made it just like
Yeah.
the perfect person to direct this. So we have the short, which was inspired in the play, and now we have the feature, which continues
And
the
that
story of
that
the
will
play.
be the feature will be a full adaptation of the play. Like but it also keeps
Ah.
growing and evolving because, plays are very contained and,
Mhm.
they can be. They can sometimes be really epic. And so it's been a really we've been really deep in the development process for the feature this year. I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be beautiful because both the short, the birthday gift, and what the feature are going to be. I think it's really telling the story of this family, but it touches on and sheds some light on some history, Argentine history,
Mhm.
that I think it does it. We're doing it that was my goal, to do it in a completely unique way. Like, you've seen these amazing films, about Brazilian history recently with I'm Still
Mhm.
Here,
Mhm.
and the Secret Agent this year, which I loved. Was the casting of that was unbelievable, was so beautiful. And we're telling a story set in the United States about Argentines in the United States, in Chicago. It's very cross cultural, both American but also with Latin flavor, specifically Argentine flavor. And it's meant to be a very, very entertaining film. I am not
Mhm.
interested in telling stories that preach or are important.
Mhm.
I am first and foremost always focused on telling the most compelling story ever, with the most compelling characters that audiences can love, and then allow them to be affected by whatever happens to them, whether it reveals something from history or not, you know.
Mhm. It's so fascinating. So one thing I think about when I watch a short film is pacing. You have a lot of story to tell in a short amount of time. And so, Ariana, I want to talk with you a little bit more about managing that.
Yeah,
because it is super important that you get the dynamics of the characters figured out and that we're able to learn enough about
Hmm.
everyone. And as we're building up to this, and I'm telling you, watching it the second time is super interesting.
I'm so glad that you said that.
That was our
That was the
goal.
goal.
That was our goal. Our goal is that people come to the end and go, wait, I need to watch that again.
Exactly. That was literally like, while we were in the editing process, I have some beloved filmmakers that I, as an actor, had worked with, and I just love their work so much. And I was like, "Would you please take a look at my edit? I'd love some feedback, some notes." And they watched it, and as soon as they were done, they were like, "Whoa, play again!"
Yes.
And they were like, "Oh, it's all there. It's
Yeah.
all there." And that, I think that's the work of the director really, is managing tone, making sure you've got the right cast. And we were very, very, Cruz as producer was like, "This is going to be these are all Argentines. We
Mhm.
scoured the entertainment industry and we're like, where are our people?" And found them. So it's very, very authentic with incredible actors. And I'm really proud of how we plant the seeds throughout the story and let it reveal itself. I'm very
Mhm.
proud of it.
Yeah, Cruz, I want to talk with you a little bit more. Now that I know that you also were kind of a part of the original production here, I'm
Hmm.
curious about the differences in portraying this character on stage versus portraying this character on film. What are the differences in acting between stage and film, particularly in the story?
I mean, it's very interesting. The first thing, obviously, there is an adjustment to
Hmm.
medium. Like I think what I love about film is that how intimate it allows you to be, in your storytelling. I always say, in film, you can have thoughts, and that's enough. You can that fills the frame. It's just such an intimate experience. So for me, it wasn't so much of an adjustment, just because I've had playing Gabby on stage was one of, I think, probably like one of my favorite experiences in my career. Not only just the character itself, it's so rich, but just how audiences responded to it. It was so interesting. They were fully in. They were, and you're gonna have to wait for the feature,
Hmm.
but as her story develops, and this is very much about um, a woman's discovery, of her own identity, and a quest for the discovery of who she is. And
I would say, in a way, that
translating it to
the
film,
biggest challenges are happening now is we're adapting the feature and just
Mm,
yeah.
not being
interesting.
married to what the play is. Because this was a truly formative experience for her in the theater. Like, here
Hmm.
she is, an Argentine immigrant in Chicago, and Stephanie had written this play about an Argentine
I
immigrant,
read
and
this
it's like,
play. I read this play and I was like, is this a joke?
you know,
Am I being punked?
Are
Where's
we
Ashton
about to
Kutcher?
reveal
I'm like,
something in real life? Like,
yeah,
I was writing the script and I was like, I think I'm being punked. It was like, you're an Argentine immigrant in Chicago, and I'm reading a story about an Argentine immigrant in Chicago, and I was like, I think this is
and yeah,
crazy.
and not a
I had never
stereotype.
seen myself,
right.
not a stereotype, complicated,
Yes,
nuanced,
messy.
funny,
Hmm.
sad, messy, especially
Yeah,
messy. And I felt myself seen on the page for the first
yeah.
time. In a way that had never happened to me before. And I remember going to the artistic director back then of the company, and I was like, if I don't play this role, we're gonna have a problem.
So it's very interesting, though. Like, now, as we're developing the feature, like, we're obviously, we want as many people to see the short as possible and experience it, but it's hard to talk about it and not give anything away. But
Mhm.
but it is very interesting as we're working and we're developing the feature for both our writers and for like, the play kind of has its hooks in them, and I have to remind them that I'm the only one it doesn't have its hooks in. And so
Mm.
I get to be the one to be like, okay, I'm going to push back here and push back. Like, this is a film. What if we
Mhm.
change
Yeah.
this? What if we, it's a fascinating process. And in a way, I think we should document the
Mm.
adaptation, the process of the
Yeah,
adaptation, because
absolutely.
it's,
Yes.
And I have to say, it felt very natural to move from the stage to the
yeah.
Mm.
screen with this particular character and with the story. It just felt just like the very natural next step
Yeah.
to what I think the reach of this particular story wants to be.
Mm.
And just for good measure, I brought Nate with me, who played Marty too in the play and plays Marty in the film. I was like, okay, let me just have
Well, this is actually
we have that built-in relationship, that built-in chemistry. So I was like, let me just
yeah, and that's
so it was
great.
fun. It was just
Well,
different.
it's interesting because after I watched the movie the first time, I think I related so much to Marty's character.
I
Just
love
like
that.
I
being
love that.
associated with this culture, but not really being in it,
Yes,
not really
yes,
totally
yes.
Mhm.
understanding. And so, yeah, my surprise was as big as his surprise. Like, what is going on right
I
now?
love I love that you said that though, because like when we were on set, like the thing that I sort of kept repeating, and as we're shooting and we're getting coverage, I'm like, okay, we need to get the camera, we need to get this. Marty is the audience.
Hmm.
He's the audience because he is more than anybody in the because everybody's Argentine except for Marty. Marty is a Midwestern American man. It's a very cross-cultural film. He's also Nate happens to be an American Latino, which I love. I love representing because that's what I am. I'm an American Latina, and you sort of straddle culture, and you don't you don't know where you completely fit in, and he's literally doing that in this marriage and in this
Hmm.
family and in this dinner, and as it really takes a turn, and he has some moments in the story that are awkward and very funny because of how awkward they are. And I know in our process of putting the film together, we would get a couple of notes from one particular person who would be like, "What's going on with it?" I'm like, "No, you don't understand. This is deliberate. This is deliberate. He is everybody, you know."
Right.
I love Nate. He does a wonderful job in the film. We're so happy to have him.
Yeah, and I love hearing you say, like, I saw
Right.
myself
Oh,
reflected in him,
totally.
because this wants to be a film and a story that invites everyone
Yeah.
in to witness it. It wants to be, because I mean, my favorite thing about art is, I think, through specificity
Yes.
comes
Yeah.
universality. And I think the more specific you get in your storytelling and in the culture you're bringing in and in the story you're bringing in, the more everyone is going to be like, oh yeah, I have a mother-in-law like that. Oh wait, and it stops being uh, other people's story and it becomes
Mm.
yours, right? Like,
And
oh yeah,
even the
yeah.
specificity of the reveal, which we're not going to talk about, but like
Right.
it, what happens in the world, the choices that we make affect our families, not just now, but in the future. It can affect generations, the choices that you make
Hmm.
from emigrating to another country to, who you associate with in that country. Or do you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
I think as specific as the story is, the universality is certainly what we were focusing on and telling a story about one particular family on one particular night, an icy, icy, wintry Chicago night, and how their lives change in an instant.
Hmm.
That can happen
That's
to anybody.
it's incredible, incredible. Like I said, I could listen to you guys talk all day. Um, but I'm gonna bring this down.
Because we don't stop talking. Is that
Oh,
it?
no, because it's so riveting. I'm telling you, document this podcast, guys. Come on. um, but I want to bring this to a close with one more question. This is premiering at the Cleveland International Film Festival. For people who are curious about it and looking at checking it out, what are the expectations that you want to set before going into this movie?
You mean for watching it?
For watching it, yes.
Just come and have a great time. We
Mm-hmm.
invite you to Soledad's birthday dinner. Come, enjoy, tango, have chocotorta, have some wine, and just get to know this family and come talk to us after. And you can find us. The film is on Instagram. What is our account, Cruz? Is it birthday gift at birthday gift
Bir-
film?
I'll put the
yes,
link in the
birthday gift.
Yeah,
description.
please come find us, interact with us. This is our world premiere, and we're looking forward to a beautiful festival run. We can't wait to share it with the world. and and get the feature going. We just have so much we're ready to share. Like,
I'm
come to
gonna
the
have to
party now.
right. I'm gonna have to find someone who can make proper chocotorta because I kind of
Oh
Yes,
want
my
to try it
gosh.
now. I haven't had it before.
Our
absolutely.
production designer made it for the film, so you see it in the
Yes.
film. Come to see the choco torta, because let me tell you, we finished filming, the crew devoured
We ate
it.
it.
Devoured it.
um,
And
yeah,
my DP was making fun of me because I was like, okay, we need a shot of the choco torta, and then let's put it over here. And he's like, how many shots of choco torta do you need?
All of them. We need all of the shots.
RDP. I mean, we really have to shout out RDP, Chris Rejano. Chris Rejano is
He's
he's a
wonderful.
magician. I mean, he's incredible. We had a wonderful time working with him. The whole crew in Chicago was just like top notch. And I have to say yes, and to everything Arianna said, we just like invite you to the space, to experience this together, and to just walk
Mhm.
in, to have this, go on this ride with us, baby, like
Mhm.
just to go on a ride. And if you're not in Cleveland, this is just the beginning of our festival run. So we're gonna be sharing wonderful news throughout the year, and inviting people to experience this film in different cities. So to follow us on Instagram, to stay tuned. And if you're there in Cleveland, come say hi. Arianna and I will be there. We want to meet you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to know what the experience was like, because I think we both have something in common, which is that we think that storytelling is just an incredible, powerful tool to start conversations.
It's incredible. Well, Arianna Cruz, thank you guys so much again for having this conversation. This was a delight for me. It was a pleasure to be able to check out this film, and I am wishing you both the best going forward and at the world premiere and for the rest of your careers, okay? I'll definitely be following you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.